Should I put on some more light on?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scratch Post. We scratch that gaming itch. It is, of course, Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month, which that makes it, well, Tuesday, the 31st of October. Why wouldn't you know? Welcome to the Common Dense Podcast. Hello, everyone. My name, of course, is Eback, and I'm joined, of course, by my fellow colleagues. We've got Burr.
Ooh, NFTs!
Who's attempted to be all scary. We have Shadow.
Hello.
And, of course, we have the man in the hat, Lemming Russ.
Howdy!
Of course, I'm wearing my my lovely Ghostbusters dressing gown, which keeps me very nice and warm. This thing keeps you nice and warm.
It is so warm in
Yeah.
there. It's really nice.
It is way too
Like,
warm.
I've had dressing gowns before. This thing keeps you, like, I've never had an issue where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll put this on, and like 10 minutes later, if the windows are closed, it's like, whew.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time, I put that on and I'm warm, and then like half an hour later, I have to take it off because I'm hot.
Yeah, so no doubt I'll at some point have to disrobe from this at some point. Thankfully, I do have, because you see, I Star Wars underneath, so that's fine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Common Dense Podcast. It's a podcast where I gather my three good friends every month, and we talk densely upon the comment densely upon the topics within the news, as well as various specialist top subjects. And of course, let's start off with how we always do with these episodes. Burr, what have you been playing this month?
I've been playing two games, basically. One that I can't talk too much about because I don't want to spoil you anything. And one that I'm at the final boss. Hopefully, I will beat him tomorrow, but who knows?
So the game
I already had very bad times with that game.
So the game you actually want to mention is Chance of Sonar, isn't it?
Yes. The game that I don't want to spoil anything is Chance of Sonar, and it's absolutely amazing game.
I've heard good things.
It's a puzzle game. It has a few point and click things, but mostly it's a puzzle game about solving foreign, completely alien languages based on what puzzles you find, based on what people talk to you about. You try to figure out things. You write down next to the glyphs, like, what do you think this means? And then occasionally you'll have a chance to verify if that was correct.
Yeah, I've heard people compare it to like Outer Wilds in terms of the discovery aspect, and Obra Dinn in terms of like the language verification and such.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. Yes.
What was that, Shadow?
I very much agree with the sounds like that.
Yeah, it does. And it's even like in the fact that this is a very stylized aesthetics in the game. It resembles Obra Dinn in the fact that it is a lot of things is like designed in such a way to fit the art style, the art direction of the game. Which is also why it is very good that this game also has a highlight button that when you press, you see all the interactable objects. Because sometimes you might miss some things. Well, sorry. I will have to return to that, but
well,
trick or treaters. I'll be back.
Of course, it is Halloween today. Some of us,
if
you couldn't tell. So of course we have some trick or treaters going on. Well, no, none here. We don't tend to get it in my area. Not that I'm opposed to it. It's just something which happens around here. Not a lot of children.
Yeah, I doubt I'm gonna get any, but I've got sweets to come, and I hear them.
All right, so Shadow, what have you been playing?
I have I have a before and after. So before I received my new gaming PC, I was playing Palia, an MMO currently in open beta, and it's basically it's an MMO which is kind of RuneScape in the fact that it's focused more on skills and leveling up skills rather than anything else. But it's good. It's got it's no combat at all, unless you count hunting animals as combat. And it's a lot more casual, more chill. It focuses more on raising relationships with the town folk, maybe romancing one or two, and building a house kind of thing. It's very, very chill, relaxed. There is a story running in the background somewhere, but it's very, very relaxed. Like I had some fun with it, but I've hit the brick wall with it at the moment where it's like it feels like chores at the moment. I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh.
that's always been a problem with MMOs and some RPGs that sometimes you hit that wall of where I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it occasionally because I have ADHD and my brain likes like little tasks to go to churning over. But after a while, it's just like it loses its appeal. Now, after I got my gaming PC Orion, I was gonna play Baldur's Gate 3, like I was supposed to, but then I got distracted by Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, which has been recently released on Steam, which unfortunately doesn't link your Epic account and your Steam account again together. So you have to level up again, which is very annoying, but it's fun. Me, Elle, and Burr have been playing it to level up. It's still as fun as ever. I love it.
I really hate.
bought it once. I might not buy the Steam version.
I mean, yeah, that's I was about to say
There
is that
crossplay, so
yeah, there's crossplay.
There is crossplay. Yeah.
I mean, if you can, because right now it's £12.56 lemming right now to buy it.
Yeah.
And
also the grind goes much faster in the Active Edition.
Yeah,
I noticed that the threshold to get to the ghost level is much lower. Like I did one game against bot. I did one game where I was a solo game with bots. I got that in like the first game. I'm like, all right.
As someone who's been playing Ghostbusters as well, they've really cleaned that game up a lot. I mean, it's got some great content now. They've really kind of nailed down the loop of gameplay loop.
Very nice to get actual stat representations when you're messing around with your equipment, because it used to just be like in the red and in the green and bars going up and down. It's just like, what does this mean? What does this mean?
Also,
what does this mean?
Yeah, drifting is here to hunt us, but
I unfortunately have banned one of our members of the podcast.
Can you unban me, please?
Yeah, what the hell happened there? I think what happened.
We don't like the No, you're unbanned.
You sent Lemming to the Shadow Realm.
I think it's because I was gonna try and press and copy what Drifting Light had said, and unfortunately you then popped up on there, Lemming, and that's where, of course, where the ban button appears.
Hang on. Let me
Fix me! All I did was buy the game you told me to buy.
Elle, yeah, you have to.
Did you literally have you literally bought Ghostbusters?
Yes.
I mean, one thing I wish they would I wish they'd have carried content over from the original. I don't see why they couldn't have. I mean, well, clearly they can't, because they would have done it if they could, but I don't know why it was such an issue to do that. It does suck. And some people say, well, why buy it on Steam if you got an Epic? It's like, because the only one Steam's better. Two, the only reason I booted up Epic was to play Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. And yet people say, oh, it's just one on the launcher. It is still more convenient. It's a shit launcher, and it's still one more thing I've got to have installed on my computer I'd rather not have. You know?
My personal experience with the Steam launcher is like on Andromeda, like my old PC, was every time it came to an update for Spirits Unleashed, Epic would throw an absolute motherfucking fit. Like, there's not enough space. There's not enough space for the update. Meh. But Steam is just like, doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, because Steam does this thing called checking to make sure there's space before it does anything.
Yeah. Steam had time to perfect the management of installation.
Yeah, like Epic.
They didn't even look over Steam's shoulder to check its homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
also there's one more thing that I don't know whether you said about the Active Edition on Steam. Well, probably on Epic too, but screw Epic. Which is, it's so much easier to like start playing together, because you had to like get to level 5 or something. I don't remember now.
You had to get through like a first narrative mission where
and now you just do the tutorial as even before the narrative mission, and you're like, you've done the tutorial, now you can play with your friends.
Yeah,
Not
I
just
think you can
that,
skip the tutorial now.
you can skip the tutorial. Yeah.
You can skip the tutorial.
You also have like there's more story content, which is not a lot.
Yeah.
But I finished that last night of the show. I was like, I've had two cutscenes. That's when the
Yeah,
original
but
game
They
finished.
have
But
added more voice lines to the characters, though. You
Yeah.
can like go and talk to them, and they've
Yeah.
got quite a
Hmm.
few, like at least 3
And
new lines per
Yeah,
narrative
yeah.
bit. So
Your character is not fucking sassy.
hmm. And I will say, for 15 quid, it's a cheap game. It's a
it's a
cheap.
cheap
Yeah.
game, and like you've had like good experiences with Ilphonic and like bug reports as well, haven't you? Haven't you, El?
I literally had a situation where my game just wouldn't launch, and I went onto their Discord and said, "Hey, my game's refusing to launch." So one of their dev team members messaged me directly on Discord and said, "Hey, what's the problem?" And I basically gave him my DirectX, the stats, and they came back to me 10 minutes later saying, "Yeah, it's a desactivation issue. It'll be fixed in the next update."
Yeah, like
Just like that. Oh, within a week, next week, it was fixed on the next update.
yeah, like Ilphonic, like Ilphonic's really good for doing these asymmetrical multiplayer games because I think they did like was it the Friday 13th or was it another one?
Dead by
Ooh,
Or Dead
Daylight?
by Daylight, one of those
yes.
two.
We
Yeah,
can check that.
I'm
yeah,
checking now.
they're like they've got form. So when they did announce, like I remember when they announced this, everyone was like, "Oh,
So,
oh."
they did Friday the 13th, the game, and that's where they kind of became quite known for that. That was a very janky game, which turned out really good in the end. They then did Dead Alliance, Predator Hunting Grounds. They did Ghostbusters Unleashed, Spirits Unleashed last year, and this year they're releasing Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which that is another asymmetrical game.
Oh,
So,
it's them. Oh yeah, of course.
they seem to be they seem to specialize in this asymmetrical multiplayer games, and I like the fact that they're like, it's 15-20 quid. It's not a big story,
Yeah.
not more. That is a good price
Yeah.
for a
And
game.
also they
It's a double
implemented
A
something
game.
that Ellen and I suggested on Twitter, and maybe they've not done that.
Well, they probably had a lot of other people requesting that as well, quite frankly. But
Yeah.
yeah, they took feedback directly because with the stat changes, all it would say is plus minus, and that's it.
Yeah, they would just be like plus or minus minus.
Yeah,
And it's just like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I'm still gonna take the credit and give it to you and I.
Whereas now it says, okay, this is your starting percentage. This is now where it goes to, and it goes if it's
You can
red.
see the bars.
Yeah.
It's nice
Yeah.
now.
Simple things,
Yeah.
So they've been very good, and that was literally a few updates later. They take great feedback into account. So I've got all day for Ilphonic.
I genuinely think, if I remember correctly, the bars update was like literally the first update they did, or something.
No, it was one of the first DLC updates. Also,
Yeah,
DLC is free for this game so far. Whether they'll continue to do more, I don't know. I think the Ecto Edition is their kind of swan song, but you never know.
Probably, yeah. I think it's considered their complete edition. I think,
Yeah.
but you've got like 5 new maps from like the old selection, which was 5. So now you've got 10 maps. It's just like
Yeah. So yeah, I literally say, if anyone's interested, go pick up Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. It's a great 15 quid. You can't go wrong with 15
so
quid.
fun.
Yeah.
It's also really fun and silly and like
Yeah,
just for Tobin, just for fucking Tobin, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Tobin is
It's
great.
a lot of fun to play alone with the bots, let alone with other people.
Yeah, like the bots are competent, surprisingly so. Although
Yeah.
there was one bit in the Ghost tutorial where I broke out of the thing where I wasn't supposed to, and it took the bots a while to realize they had to put another trap down. I was just like, please stop catching me, just put a trap down and end my torment.
But yeah, that was a thing. So can you play as Ghost in single player mode?
Yes, I think
Nice.
so. I need to
Ooh,
check.
nice.
Let me check, but I'm pretty sure you can.
But great game, highly recommend it. So that was what has been playing Shadow, if anything, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay,
That's it. I basically.
I'll throw it back to Burr because you mentioned Sonar. Anything else?
Yeah, so the other I'll not talk more about Sonar because I don't want to spoil it to you. You have to get blind into the game, but it's really worth it. The other thing that I played is Lies of P.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Our friend Divot's been playing that as well.
Yeah, Divot was playing. I've been watching a bit of that, but I was also playing a demo back in one of the next fests because it was available as a playable demo.
Mm-hmm.
Almost the entire first chapter, I think the entire first chapter was available as a demo. It was really fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Even though there were like 2 or 3 bosses that really ground my gears, really upset me. And I have a few things too. I have a few bones to pick with the game because it's not respecting my time in some aspects that are still improvements upon what horrible grind it would be in a regular Dark Souls kind of game. Because you have those extra coins that like grow on a tree in time. Like they grow eight at a time, but each one grows in 10 minutes. So within 80 minutes of gameplay, you can go and collect extra coins. They give you buffs to your support character that you can summon to a few of the bosses. But because sometimes I have to like approach 30 times to one boss, I have to wait until I get like 60 coins so that I can buy 30 buffs for those 30 times. And that takes me like 8 times 80 minutes of doing something, of grinding, of playing, of trying to level up until I get all that. So there are things that the game does not respect my time with.
Definitely sounds like the game.
But still, I would say in a lot of aspects, it is much better than the other Souls games. And a lot of people are saying that finally you can have short of actual difficulty level choice, you can really kind of get your game to be as easy or as difficult as you want.
That's good.
Which is good.
Lemming, what have you been playing this month?
Quite a lot. Quite a lot. So we'll start from the beginning. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered. Came to PC, so I've been playing the heck out of that. Realized how difficult it was.
Yeah, those games are quite difficult. Like you don't realize how difficult they are until you go back and play. Like, wow, what were my hands doing back in the day?
Yes, like, I have hit a brick wall in just progressing to the unlocking a new area. So what the hell? But other than that, great soundtrack, a lot of fun. The fact that they've made it so that you can create one character through both games.
That's
great.
Good.
And next on the line, I'm leaving one till last. Cyberpunk 2.0 hits. I spent the better part of the month playing the Phantom Liberty DLC. That's been a lot of fun. Except it has basically killed all of my enjoyment of the game in one move.
The Mr. Hands bug, didn't you?
Yeah, Mr. Hands bug. Throughout the playthrough, I found various bugs. 2.0 has not fixed the game entirely. It's done a great job, but it hasn't fixed the game entirely. Sometimes I'd finish a cutscene or a story segment, which would lock my ability to attack and access certain menus. And then after that's gone, I'd go back into the main world, and all of that stuff would still be locked. So what do? Turns out you have to save and reload to get everything to come back. And now, trudging through that, now the game is just like, oh yeah, you finished all that. You need to complete one thing to move on to this other side quest line, and that's meet Mr. Hand for your reward. I go to where I'm supposed to meet him, and he's not there. He has despawned from the game.
That's so strange, because especially he's probably one of my favorite characters in that DLC as well.
He's a great character, and I've brought it up on Twitter, no reply. I've brought it up on the Steam discussions, and had tons of replies from other people with the same problem, hoping that'll be fixed in the 2.03 patch.
Oh no!
Whenever that happens.
Well,
so until that happens, that game is dead to me.
Well, that's unfortunate. Anything else?
Yeah, which is a real shame. The final thing, well, the second to final thing, Overlord Escape from Nazareth. It's a Metroidvania set in the Overlord anime world, where you play as one of the series villains who dies at the end of the first season, turns out they're not dead. The good guys captured her, stuck them in their dungeon, and she's got to escape.
I do
Neat
like that,
idea.
those kind of twists.
Yeah, it's a neat concept. So I finished my first playthrough on easy difficulty, and that was kind of neat. The final thing is something I'm going to be talking about a lot more later, the Metal Gear Solid Remaster Trilogy.
Nice.
I'm going to be talking about them a lot later.
Yes, let's actually move on to the next topic of the day. After I quickly discuss, I've been playing some Spider-Man 2. Not going to talk much about it because spoilers and recent game. Pretty much that's been it. Apart from Ghostbusters as well, which we've already discussed. Yeah, it's been a pretty all month for me, really much. I have purchased Stray, but I got it back after it was taken away from me on PlayStation Plus. So I'll be playing that some more, I guess. And I'm hoping. I do want to treat myself to a game. I'm trying to think what I'm going to treat myself to, because I'm either going to get Alan Wake 2 or Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Visage.
Mirage.
So it's one of those two.
The Mirage is a visage. Or a visage.
Yeah.
Mirage.
A mirage of a visage staring at you from the garage.
Garage.
Let's move on for the news.
His entourage. I think you would enjoy Mirage more.
Okay, so I'm going to do my topic very quickly, which is a news article. 2 news pieces arose over the last couple of weeks.
Very quickly together, I noticed.
Very quickly together, yeah. It's yeah. So Nintendo released an article, which basically their new tournament rules about 6 days ago, and they effectively have banned third-party controllers in these tournaments. Nintendo's rules tournaments are a huge step back for accessibility, it is claimed. This was from the Games Chronicle, who basically highlighted this article first, and there's been news measures such as a cap of 200 participants for in-person tournaments, but the biggest criticism is the fact that when you are playing tournaments, you must only use Nintendo. Use of consoles, accessories, and software not licensed by Nintendo is not permitted, which means anything that is not a Joy-Con, a Pro controller, not having it. They do not allow it one bit. And while I can understand why they may not want me to play on my lovely 8-bit Do controller because I prefer this, for me, that's a choice. I can still pick up a Pro controller and play it perfectly fine.
No.
Others don't have that luxury.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is it's a big hit for accessibility. It's also a particularly, I mean, quite frankly, it is ableist. You know, it's assuming that disabled people don't want to play in tournaments. And no, they don't. Maybe they don't need their own fucking tournament or their own segregated community. Maybe they can play well enough on their own to actually be part of it.
Yeah. The thing is, though, that even if it is a tournament that is specifically for the disabled people, it's still those guidelines are still for any kind of community tournament.
Any community tournament. Yeah. And it's especially frustrating, especially since I found out the other day that Nintendo do have an accessibility controller. They just don't sell that to the public.
Only to hospitals.
Only to hospitals.
And only to selected hospitals.
Only to selective hospitals. So I'm like,
fuck?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yep.
you mean you got an accessibility controller and you just don't sell that to the public? Now, maybe it's because it's got this mad technology in it or something, but I don't know. It just seems to be like, come on, guys.
That sounds bonkers to me.
Yeah,
It
I
does.
think that's worse. I think that's worse. It's just
That is worse.
I can understand like not having it at all, and I mean that's bad, but okay if you don't have any of that. But having it and then just selling it to certain hospitals is like, you understand how that's worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I don't think Nintendo does. We do understand how that's worse, but I don't think they do.
Yeah, they don't know how accessibility works.
Oops. Sorry,
There's another one.
I'm being cold.
And of course, in this, everyone, of course, this has been met with wide condemnation across the entirety community online. People understanding, of course, Nintendo wants to protect its IP and properties, but this is a bit too far. And yeah, it's ridiculous. Personally, I think it's ridiculous. So, of course,
and then
Microsoft decided to hold my beer, because Microsoft, as announced yesterday, is going to start blocking quote unauthorized third-party peripherals. What exactly that means, we don't know. Now, I will say that they have also said they're going to expand the list of peripherals that they will allow. So that's good.
Hope so.
But yeah, so this is from The Verge. Microsoft starting to block unauthorized Xbox controllers and accessories from being used on Xbox consoles. Resetera posted a warning about a block last week with some third-party Xbox controllers now throwing up connected accessory is not authorized. Warning when connected to the Xbox console. It's unclear if Microsoft is trying to target cheap devices or whether the Xbox maker is trying to push its official partner program.
I heard somewhere that they're doing it for security reasons.
I could see that, but there's also ways you can protect it without excluding other third party.
Sorry, go on, Beth. No, you first.
Just want to say, if you want the third party devices not to violate your security, make a fucking good API for them.
I think it stings particularly with Microsoft because Microsoft has really been pushing accessibility lately, and this seems to be a heel turn for them, and it's just is this somebody from another department just saying shit and not? Is it not joined up, or is it something just really stupid? I can't pass it.
Now I will say, in the project of transparency and fairness, as far as we can tell, I wasn't able to find any evidence of this, but Sony's situation on third parties also very similar to Microsoft's as is now and was done years ago with the PlayStation 3. I cannot verify that, whether they have an actual stance. All I know is that I tend to not use third-party peripherals on my PlayStation anyway, so I can't comment. And I do know that I can't connect this to it. So there you go. I will say that I can kind of understand it, given the fact that a lot of their controllers have like the touchpad and such, so there's a bit more difference in there.
I've always perceived Sony being quite protective of its own peripherals, but this is from an outsider, so take my
yeah. So we don't know, but at least as far as we can tell, this basically is the last ditch effort of consoles being supported. It's worth mentioning that recently Chronos controllers have become very popular within the community. They're basically customized controllers for all kinds of consoles, and effectively, we're wondering if this is their attempt to kind of stifle that, because effectively, there's a lot of people who bite 8-bit dough make these amazing. I showed it off twice now. These amazing controllers, but of course, companies don't want you to use their controllers. They want you to use their own controllers because I could pick this up for 30 quid. But of course, I want a DualShock 5. I'm going to be shoving out 50 quid.
Yeah. Are we going to have another
or 200 quid for a DualSense Edge? Yeah. All I'm going to say is I love my DualSense Edge. However, I've seen better Pro controllers. But
I fear that the old telling will strike through. Like, if you don't know what it's about money.
It is about money, pretty much. This is going to have an adverse effect. Maximilian Dude, as again quoted by The Verge, through The Verge, says this could essentially be the death sentence of local fighting game events that run on Xbox, much as others that can only afford one arcade stick. Yeah, like if you've got an arcade stick, shove that in that it works fine. But if that suddenly is no longer an accessible controller, what happened then? And of course, there's the accessibility controller once again. Now,
the creator of the arcade sticks doesn't have money for licensing from Microsoft.
Because that's what it is. It is basically them saying pony up for the licensing. Which I get that it's quality control, but in the day, it is also like you could quality control that without charging public extract and absorbent fee.
This is strange. I feel like I've heard this story somewhere before. Didn't a little company called Wizards of the Coast try something similar to this? Very strange.
Yeah, I know, right?
Time is a flat circle.
Well, it's more the case that again, can't speak for Sony, but at least in terms of I mean, I don't know about Microsoft either. Nintendo, because Nintendo are also very funny with the controllers. For example, the controllers I showed you, they show up as a Pro controller on there. So whether or not it's simply being tricked to thinking it's a Pro controller, I don't know. But yeah,
they are a little weird. Nintendo is a little bit weird because I remember if anybody has had a DS, their headphone ports were unique because the usual jack port, the little male
yes, you had like a
there
little
was
USB.
there was a little cuboid next to it that you had to have also a connector. So you had to have two males, one was long and one was a little cube, which prevented you from using any other headphone in that jack. And I was just like, why? What?
Yeah, it's like the Xbox 360's controller headphone jack that you can only plug the Xbox 360's headset into if you wanted to talk to your friends on Xbox Live.
Yeah, it's stupid.
So yeah, a bad week for accessibility in gaming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, let's move on to another topic. So, who wants to go next on this?
I will go next because
Bert.
something.
But yours is a positive one, and mine is negative.
Okay, let's get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So continuing the bad news in video games, Bungie has laid off a unspecified number of people, but quite a lot, and a lot of them across the company. Layoffs appear to be spread across, according to this article from Polygon by Nicole Carpenter. The layoffs appear to be spread across Bungie's community and social teams, marketing, legal, recruiting, art, human resources, quality assurance, and everywhere else. One of these people is let me see if I can get this name right. Michael Salvatore. You might recognize that name. He did all of the soundtracks for Halo and Destiny, both the first one and the second one, and he's been let go. And for and for some strange reason, his work at Bungie has mysteriously disappeared. Yeah, Marty O'Donnell has also been fired from Bungie. And if you're wondering, hey, were they recently bought by Sony? You're correct. But it wasn't Sony who fired them. It was Bungie itself.
I will point out as well, because that they has been layoffs today. It's a sad week. I've just pulled up an article from the Washington Post.
Oh.
Dated February 1st, 2022. And the article, and I want to say, hear this, that they've been laid off, and that you're someone who now wants to work at Bungie. This article was posted less than, just shy of 2 years ago, February 1st, 2022. Headline: Bungie leadership assures employees Sony deal would not result in layoffs, restructuring. Company developers fear losing independence but express caution and optimism after acquisition. The developers work on Destiny 2 studio Bungie this week started out even more atypically than most normal weeks of the pandemic, prompted remote work. Early Monday morning, employees received a request to attend an understanding emergency virtual meeting as the call began. Employees were shocked to learn at the same time as the public the chapter in the company's history was coming to an end. Bungie being acquired by Sony, the Japanese electronic company, for $3.6 billion. Now
do you know what's even worse, El?
Go on.
Sony also announced it intended to spend $1.2 billion on employee retention, deferred payments to employee shareholders conditional upon their continued employment and other retention incentives. So where did that fucking go, Bungie? Where did that go?
That's a good question. But you were going to make
what
a
happened
comment.
to that?
I just wanted to comment that it just aged like milk.
That comment, aged like milk. Yeah. And I say, if you're and this is the problem which Lana Pierce tweeted about earlier today if you're someone looking to get into this industry, you're seeing just people just going there and being laid off. What the fuck do you want to do? People want job security.
Yeah.
I know people
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, but that's not this type of job." Why isn't it this type of job?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, like, people are gonna say, like, 2023 was a great year for games, and yeah, but also we've had hundreds of thousands of people.
Just out of the job.
We remember, Epic Games has laid off more than 800 employees. Volition was completely shut down by Embracer Group, which put hundreds of people out of work. Telltale Games has been cut jobs in October, and Descendant Games of Immortals of Avernum fame has laid off half of its staff in September. There are loads of people getting getting pushed out of jobs, and and there was the BioWare layoffs as well, and Blizzard cut a few people as well out of the Hearthstone team, and I'm just gonna say, not only are they getting rid of people in the mid ground, but they're getting rid of veterans as well, especially like Mary Kirby from BioWare. She was head writer for most of the Dragon Age games. And the problem is, like, veterans in the video game industry, people with like years and years like in their portfolio, they're struggling to get jobs. People coming into the industry are struggling to get jobs. And so people are bleeding out of this industry slowly but surely. We have a brain drain, but nobody's acknowledging it. And it's just like, okay, so what happens when what happens? What happens when the final twig breaks? Like,
I'm going to comment that my sister works within the entertainment industry. She works in the West End. She doesn't have a lot of good job security because she'll be contracted for, of course, a company for that production for a while, and she'll know and she can renew the contract and so on and so forth. She potentially has more job security than some people in the gaming industry because once their contract is over, they often just don't get renewed because their service is done. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Whereas they always need a dancer. They always need someone to dance. Like the production always needs them. Whereas artists who have done their bit of the production on their game no longer really needed or are presumed to see no longer needed. You just be your contracts run out. Goodbye.
yeah, I've seen people on Twitter going, "I've just bought a house. I don't know what I'm gonna do," kind
Yeah,
of thing.
because it's
And someone was relating their experience at EA, where they said you knew layoffs were coming because the door sensors would start flashing, and they would be boxes in the mailroom for people to clean out their stuff, and they would sit at their desks with their heads down, like waiting for somebody to tap them on the shoulder. And if they didn't get tapped on the shoulder, they survived. But then they would have the survivor's guilt of surviving because they knew that they didn't get cut because they were better than their colleagues. They got cut because maybe their wage wasn't high enough, kind of thing. And like, it's disgusting behavior. It's just, and like, do you know what really makes me angry? I got rid of the fucking thing. Why did I do that? But the CEO of Bungie, like, made a fucking tweet, and okay, so the CEO of Bungie, a man called Pete Carson,
Can I
said,
just say,
what?
if he ever sees this before, I doubt he ever will. This better be fucking good. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it won't be. Quote, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have all
Oh,
made a significant impact on our studio.
boo-hoo.
What these exceptional individuals have contributed to our games and Bungie culture has been enormous and will continue to be a part of Bungie long into the future."
I
Like,
noticed you didn't offer yourself up for the firing squad.
it's very funny because a lot of people are commenting going, "My brother in Christ, you are the CEO! You could have taken a pay cut!"
Yeah. Guys, Justin got right. Guys, I need a bucket to vomit in. Yeah, that is the most tone deaf statement I have heard from a CEO in a long time. And I'm gonna just put out with it. We four work within an industry. I've worked in my job for 6 years. I've got a review this month, and apparently, I'm in no danger of going anywhere. I have good job security because I do my job, and I get it that it's a different industry, but I don't see why the industry has to be so fickle in terms of like, oh, why can't you move that on to the next, move the people on the next project and so, yeah, it's I don't know, it's just what's going on in the games industry.
I'm in a department that's understaffed critically. Like one of the many departments in the NHS which is understaffed. Like I'm safe. I mean, I still worry about it because of course you do.
Of course you do.
But like, what?
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that a lot, especially since you're like, if I for whatever reason lost my job, I could go work at a different insurance broker anywhere else in like the city I'm in. There are plenty of insurance brokers around. They're all over the world. Gaming studios, very few and far between. You've got to move where the job is, and that's as you say, there are people who bought houses.
They got houses and now they don't have an income. Also, something that I saw on the Discord. So the employee benefits for Bungie staff run out on the end of the month. They were fired on the 30th of October.
Fuckers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's calculated.
That's calculation.
Yeah.
That's fucking calculated.
But you were going to say something.
Just wanted to add to, going after the job, traveling after it. The other alternative is creating your own game of studio, which is another kind of one because you're with so many problems. You have to suddenly start being a manager. You have to know how to manage the money, how to manage the people, how to arrange things, how to conduct business, how to find like sponsors or publishers.
Then you become the person coming to them saying, we haven't got enough money.
Yeah.
Or you're in the situation where you're the Cuphead developers and you've got to remortgage your own house to even finance your project.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like I'm not saying that the managers are at fault here. What I'm saying is that the managers could take a fucking pay cut.
Yeah, I think a lot of the managers here are the middlemen having to relay to their teams that they're firing people, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, managing is
the people who really need to have the pay cut are the CEOs, the people above them,
executors, the ones who don't have to worry, the ones who don't worry about their job security because they're there.
The ones who worry. The only time they worry about their job security is when they wonder how much severance they're going to get.
Fuck you, Kotick. I hope you get run over by a bus.
I wouldn't wish death on anyone, but he's one of the few I would.
No, he wouldn't die. He'd just be in abject misery for like the next 5 years.
Good.
Oh wait, I forgot. He's a demon from hell. He can't die. Anyway, Loving, your news topic.
Yes. Metal Gear Solid Remaster Collection came out.
I'm aware of this.
And it's incredibly mixed amongst its player base.
I think we can both talk on the subject, but I'll let you kind of lead on this.
Yeah. Basically, the Remaster Collection came out, and on consoles, it runs on consoles. It runs at 1080p on everything, unless you're playing on Switch, which I just learned today it actually released on Switch.
Yeah, it doesn't run great on Switch, but also it's the Switch. So,
but it runs at 1080p when it's in docked mode, and it runs in 720 in mobile mode. But on PC, it's causing some controversy to the point where it's got mixed reviews on Steam. For the point that it's a really shit port. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's one of the most abysmal console ports I've ever seen.
Yes, I will agree to that. There are some things I got in argument against that. Mostly when people are complaining about how bad the mouse and keyboard controls are, which sounds like, my dude in Christ, this is a game built for controllers. 20 years ago. Get a fucking controller.
I don't have a PlayStation or an Xbox plugged in. I still have this.
Yeah, get a fucking controller, play it on a controller like it's supposed to be played. But yeah, do go on, Lemming.
But yeah, simple fact, from the get-go, the way it launches, the way all of the games launch, be it the Metal Gear Collection, Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3. You don't just open the game on Steam and it opens. It opens, you click open on Steam, and then it opens a full screen launcher.
Very nice launcher, I will say.
It is a very nice launcher, but at the same time, this is a remaster. You're you're adding things and building this game. Why didn't you just add those to the menu? Like, you've got a game, when you load the game up, it opens a menu. The start menu with the options and everything in.
Oh, I see. I was thinking entirely different. Please, because
why does there have to be an entirely different game? It opens up an entirely different program to click play game and then open the game program.
We're back in 1995. The last time I've seen something like that was in Warcraft 2, I think. When I have to run settings separately.
Just to kind of clarify, because I've got the PlayStation 5 version.
PC port of Sonic Adventure 2 does that. Sorry.
When I boot up my game, I get like, okay, you can play this version of whatever of Metal Gear Solid 1. We've got the script, we've got the language packs you can download, and also options for like some aspects as well. Is that what you're talking about, or is it like a different launcher?
That's a completely separate like it opens up a completely separate program. So when you click play game in that screen, it closes and opens the game.
I don't think that's true, because again, it is a way to access things like the script and features related to that game. So I can see why they're featuring that. But I do get
that's one of the smallest nitpicks. I'm just starting from opening the game. Another problem within that screen is it gives you the book. You know, you can go into a book and read things about the games and the manuals. And there's even an achievement for reading all of it.
All of it, yeah.
The reason that's an achievement is getting through that fucking book is a pain in the ass. Have you tried?
For me, yes, I've read a lot of the books. I just use the shoulder buttons and
Yeah, that doesn't work on PC.
Well, there's the problem.
In order to go through the pages, I have to go to the book, click the button for the page listing, and then click the page I want.
Oh, that is a...
Oh,
and then when I want to go to the next page, I have to go back into that and click the page I want.
That sucks.
No.
It's fucking stupid. And then you load the game, and there's no... Well, here's the main thing that people are complaining about. No resolution options. There's no graphical options at all.
For a PC port, you would have thought that at least have resolution as an
not even... Like, it's an old game. I'd expect it to have minimal graphical options because they were set to the graphics they were set at. But you can't even change it from... You're set to 1080p.
Yeah.
Can't lower it to 720. Can't raise it to 2K.
Windowed. Can I play in windowed, please?
Nope.
Exactly.
Full screen only. That's it.
Yeah.
I was like... The game runs fine, but my brother in Christ, we live in 2023. You've spent 6 months making this port. Because that's all it is. It's a port of this. That's all this game is. It's a port of this. Which leads me to ask the second question. If this is a port of this, why don't we have...
Peace Walker.
That's the one. Peace Walker.
Well, likely because that's coming in Volume 2.
Exactly. You're bringing out Volume 2.
I think they're cutting the content to get more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair, to argue against that, the HD collection didn't include Metal Gear Solid 1.
That is very true, yeah.
And also, it's not just Metal Gear Solid 1, it's all the versions of Metal Gear Solid 1 ever released as well.
Which is another problem. Here's the other thing, because I'm going to get to the points where I'm actually enjoying the game. But the other problem is certain versions of the game have to be installed as DLC.
Yes.
So if you want the Japanese language pack, you have to install it as a DLC. You'll already have the DLC.
Oh, can I preface this? I had no problem just downloading that and installing that. That was part of the thing. However, Steam, on the other hand...
Yeah, on the Steam version, you go into the game app and it goes, to access this, you need to download this language pack. You have to download this language pack. So, okay, cool. Click the button to take me to the download page. There is no download page. Yeah. What am I supposed to do here, Konami? Your Steam listing doesn't have the appropriate download links.
That is poor. That sounds like poor integration with Steam.
Yeah, that's horrible integration. So then they actually had to produce a tutorial. They basically had to produce a
tutorial
document.
Yeah.
They had to release a little what's in the what's new section on Steam. They had to release a series. Yeah, they had to release a series of tutorials on how to install the DLC.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Installing DLCs for Mass Effect 2 back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like any BioWare game at that time was like you had to do some mystical fucking shit because there were so many different packs, so many different things.
Yeah,
like,
Mass Effect 2's freaking. I just remember the Mass Effect 2. Like, do you have the code? The code to join the network.
Yeah, we've been spoiled by Steam just being like click and download.
Yeah, basically.
I am so glad we have the Legendary Edition now. We don't have to spoil
Yeah.
that shit anymore.
Yeah,
nobody to play actually.
Go on.
But keeping in mind that this is all going off of my own head, I've not got any articles open. I've got a few reviews, mixed to say the least. Some are saying they're awful, some are saying they're good. The console reviews are mostly good because they're on consoles. That's fine. The PC reviews are mostly negative to good, and my view on it is the port itself is atrocious. Should have been a lot better. Should at least be like full screen windowed options. But the game itself,
games are good
as I remember it.
Games are still good. They're solid.
Still solid games. Still run brilliantly. They might be stuck at 1080p, 60 frames a second, but they still run well.
Could you say they're metal solid?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're
great games.
Fine. And yeah, I'm enjoying. The only issue with them is the control setups haven't aged well.
They have not. Metal Gear Solid 3 Metal Gear 3 is a great game that has not aged well in terms of controls.
No, using a controller to go from third person to first person, aim a weapon and fire it is actually on 3 different buttons.
Yeah, that's like queue up, but
while trying to aim.
Yeah, why are you trying?
Not even that. It's aiming. I think would be on the right-hand stick because that's the thing you use to aim in all first-person shooters. No, it's on the left.
Yeah, because you can't move. You can't move well.
Right. Yeah, but the problem with this is not a remake. This is a remaster that is just taking the control schemes from the original.
Oh yeah,
whether we like it or not.
This is why we're getting.
I'm saying these are still good games. I'm enjoying the hell out of them. I will finally do my 100% dog tag run on Metal Gear Solid 2.
Enjoy that.
Swearing.
Enjoy that, my friend. I did that once.
To do it. I got so close to it in my first time. When I had it on PlayStation 2, I got very close. I tried to start it on this version. I tried to start it on the GOG release of the original Metal Gear Solid 2. This is where I'm actually going to do it. When my save is on Steam Cloud and it will be remembered.
This you swear by the stars.
Yeah. Great news. And also, I also recommend the series. Get them on consoles if you can. I will say, as much as all these problems are, it is good that they are now accessible outside of the original consoles that they were on.
The fact is that they're now accessible on a modern system, on all modern systems.
And now they're also accessible on a PC, easily via Steam.
Yeah.
They'll now be pretty much available for the end of time.
From what I've read, don't try it on your Steam Deck if you have one. They run horribly on Steam Deck.
Right. Is that anything?
We just need to rescue a couple of refugees now, like the Metal Gear game that lives on the GameCube.
Oh,
that won't ever happen. I wish that would happen.
Yeah, Twin Snakes is never getting revived. We might get Metal Gear Acid. I think it was Metal Gear Acid.
And Metal Gear Solid
PSP one.
And Metal Gear Solid 4, don't forget, which is still trapped on PS3 to this day.
Metal Gear Solid needs to be saved from the villainy of the PlayStation 3.
Yeah. Hopefully it will be saved with the Master Collection Volume 2. But they really have to get the shit together.
They do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Konami's reputation are, but Konami, look, especially since when you're taking all this time, my response is, what are you doing with your time?
Yeah. Yes, 6 months is a very short time to develop a game, but this isn't just developing a game. This is just porting an already existing remaster of an already existing game to newer consoles.
I mean, porting comes
what
with its
you
own
give-
problems, but
Yeah, what's been given to us could have been done in 3 months.
well, let's not go that far. We don't know, but I just feel like that they could have they should have spent more time working on the
Yes.
interface and things.
If it needed longer for it to be an actual good port, I'd have waited until next year. But there you go.
I will say it so that you don't have to. I blame the Japanese approach of no one plays games on PC.
That is a thing.
Yeah, they are primarily console gamers. They're a console market over there. Steam isn't that big.
Yeah, we've got to factor that in as well. Because to be honest, let's be honest, Lemming, is the PC port of Metal Gear Solid 5 good? I'd say it's serviceable.
It's serviceable. It's got it actually has options.
Yeah, that is true.
It just works.
It works.
Yeah. But then it also has a very good engine from what I've seen.
That is true. Well, we can't linger on too much on the Metal Gear Solid, but thank you for that, Lemming. It's very good to hear about Metal Gear Solid.
We play more of it. I want to commit more. I want to create more time paradoxes.
All right, then, Burr, your news article for the week, month, I should say.
Yeah, so a bit of wholesomeness, short but still wholesome, as news for the end. So, after what we heard, I'm glad that the subject of my story is using a device that allows third-party accessories. You probably are aware of something that's called Awesome Games Done Quick, a charity event that's happening in January. And we're sometimes they are just a really fun events, like how to say it. I'm trying to remember the word now, but they're not as much for skill as for presentation. There's something to show off. There's something fun. At some point, one of the speedrunners was playing a Symphony of the Night blindfolded.
Yes, that kind of stuff.
And
gimmick runs.
That kind of stuff. Yes. And this January, there's gonna be a new challenger for Awesome Games Done Quick. He's very young, but he's the goodest boy of all the speedrunners. His name is Peanut Butter, and he's a Shiba Inu doggo.
Yes.
He's already shown his skill on YouTube, where there's a video of Peanut Butter playing NES game Gyromite in 29 minutes and 25 minutes and 29 seconds. And he's planning to beat that record on Awesome Games Done Quick in January.
Nice.
He's using a specific accessory, because he has pads for his pads, where he's pressing the buttons when shown by, because he's not doing it alone. He has a professional speedrunning trainer that gives him snacks, that gives him commands, etc. But it's still great show. And he's a wonderful good boy, and it will be worth to go see the January Awesome Games Done Quick.
I'm looking forward to that.
To see Peanut Butter playing, trying to beat his record.
I never know when they're doing events games, because I've always seen their videos after the fact, but I've always been wanted to check them out in live in person, because they do such good streams. And yeah, I very much like it because what's nice about them is that they get people who know their shit on there. So it's not just about seeing about the skill about them. You also get to learn about how it works and why they're doing this and such.
Yes. Describing how it works. Quite often the people will have a lot of funny anecdotes to say, and they will banter with the hosts, and it's really fun. And many times it's hilarious to watch.
Sometimes a world record gets set live on air, like it did for Monkey Island one year.
Yeah, didn't Gerard turn up in one of those at one point?
I'm sure he has.
The completionist.
Yeah. As a contender?
No, just as a guy commentating. He might have been.
I think he might have.
Wouldn't be surprised. Gerard is from one best boy to another one, the best boy of gaming. So
Yeah,
Yes.
Gerard the Construction is the best boy.
Yes.
Well, that covers the news segments for this week as we move on to a topic which is probably not going to take very long for us to kind of go through, and that is character design.
Yes.
And that's basically the topic this week. So we're going to be talking about generally the topic of what we like in characters, because there are many ways this question originally came up with criticism towards some people who view certain
Oh my
designs as
god,
bad.
people who have never seen a
Yeah.
woman in their entire
Yeah.
fucking lives.
What Shadow said.
Yeah. A woman whose name is not JPEG.
Yes.
Like guys, spoiler alert. If you ever want to know what a woman looks like without makeup, you're looking at one of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that everywhere with the criticism of Aloy's design,
Yeah.
and a few other kind of recent characters.
Yeah,
And
the lady that was shown in the trailer for
Oh
Fable
yeah, that
Remake.
was what caused all the nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they say, no one wants to play as someone unattractive, but they're not unattractive. These characters, they're just normal
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would put it in another way. It's like they're not dolled up.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're not the perfection of
Yeah.
and they're just average
Yeah.
normal people,
They're,
and it's
they're not
fine.
photoshopped to the point of ridiculity.
Exactly.
The one
Like
thing.
yeah.
Stop. No, go on, Burr.
I just want to say, like the models and actors in the movies and porn stars and all the other people who get money from pimping up their image.
Yeah.
Because whenever you kind of go, quickly kind of before we go on Shadow, whenever you bring this up, everyone's like, "Oh, so you want to play someone ugly?" No, we don't want to play someone ugly. It's not the point. It's that your idea of what is good is so high bar, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's also
Go on, Shadow.
sorry. No, go ahead, Shadow.
I always notice that when these kind of people comment on women and they're not being pretty enough, never ever do I actually hear the excuse that could be used in the situation is it's an escape from reality. I never hear that for some reason. But I will hear that excuse with black people, with trans people, with all kinds of other. But I never hear it for unattractive women. What? The one excuse that might have just a teeny tiny bit of I want to escape from reality of ugly people. Okay, that's shit, but I can kind of understand it. But no,
Yeah.
they'll never use it. They'll just bitch and complain about not seeing people women who are fuckable enough.
Yeah.
It's like if you were actually honest, I would respect you more.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like the guy, the near automata guy, just I just like to design pretty women.
You've got the guy who made Near Automata, and he's just like, I like sexy white-haired ladies. And then you've got Hideo. Then you've got Hideo Kojima, who wrote a freaking thesis on why you're all going to be sorry that I've made this one character wear a bikini. So it's like, just tell us you wanted a lady character in a bikini.
I'm called away again.
It's fine.
It's all good.
I completely agree. It's ridiculous, and it's really like I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I get the ideas of people not wanting to play as someone who is you want to play as someone who is attractive in some way, but
it looks good to you.
It looks good to you. But the thing is that it's almost like that. It's everything's up here. Like they're ignoring everything in here. I'm not expecting myself as a video game character because I'm. And I know you'll disagree. I'm not. I'm overweight, and I'm not. I just I'm not a great looker. I'm not expecting to see myself reflected, but I could see someone like Kratos, who bald guy, big beard. That's generally not really considered a good look, but he's big, muscular, and bit of a dad bod. But it is what it is. Joel, looks like shit because he's been through shit.
Yeah. He's dead. He's a messy boy. Messy.
Yeah.
But you see lots of people fawn over him. All right.
Yeah. And beauty isn't the eye of the beholder. And if you think that the person is unattractive, then it's like, well, fair enough. But it's like don't call them just ugly because they don't not as appealing to you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not everybody exists for you to want to fuck them. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
exactly. That's getting into the thing that I've been thinking of for the past 5 minutes. It's like these people just want everything to be at a level of attractiveness, like supermodel level or just like hot bod all the time. And I'm just like, are you people comfortable playing a video game with a constant erection? Because that's basically what you're after.
I don't think I've ever played a video game with one.
I mean, they do want that. I've seen
Exactly.
Yeah.
at least some people are honest about it. Like eBay has shown a tweet from a guy that says about, I think, Spider-Man 2, like, guys, this is a game about a superhero. In this game, every woman, I think they said woman, not female, should be grade A fat folder character. So at least they were honest about it.
Honest, but gross as fuck.
Gross as fuck.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like
Gross as fuck, but
not everyone.
they weren't saying like, "Ooh, this is the woke agenda," and blah blah
Like-
blah. No, they want things to be serviced to them.
There is a genre of games where every character is at a fuckable level.
Yeah.
They're 18 plus and they're on Steam. Go
On
over
Steam.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Go
like-
there.
yeah, like I think I'm in the unique position of having to play a woman character a lot of the time, and it's like I could go on about the bikini armor thing, like
Oh
Yeah.
god, the bikini armor.
and stuff like that. The thing is, like, I've evolved several times as I've grown up, and I'm at the stage where I'm like I can understand people wanting like women like myself wanting bikini armor because sometimes it looks really nice, yo.
Yeah.
But the
I've
thing
always
is,
found
like,
the bikini armor ironically funny in
Yeah.
like one of those ways.
This is why I put bikini armor.
yeah, some of them look really nice. Like some of them, you look at them like, yes, that's I quite like that. But the thing is, like, the thing about that is it's a choice. It shouldn't be the only armor
option.
that we're wearing. And the thing that MMOs tend to do, it comes from the MMO space because it started there, is when the male armor has like the chest piece completely covered, completely covered your body, nothing else, and then the women armor is just like tits. And it's like,
Yeah.
Why?
It
no.
just,
Yeah. No.
it just
this is-
reminds me of a very funny comic I've seen on that subject. Where you've got a lady character in a game, finds some armor, it's like, I'm not wearing this, I don't care if the stats are better, I'm not wearing bikini armor. And the guy next to her is well, I'll take it. And then the next
Yeah,
one is
yeah,
him wearing the
yeah.
bikini. Like, wow, this is
Yeah.
so freeing. I don't know why you didn't
Yeah.
take this.
Because the thing is,
This is so liberating.
the thing is, I don't mind if you've got sexy armor that shows
But
off.
do
Yeah.
it for both.
Do it for both
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
like,
You cowards.
Star Wars: The Old Republic
Yeah.
was an MMO I played quite a lot back in the day, and when they brought in the chest plate, which was completely vanity, that just completely removes just has like a bare chest, like it was intended for them. It was definitely like you could say, haha, but that sounds like it's something for the women. The thing about female characters, like their undergarments in the Old Republic, every female character is wearing like a big, like a very, they're wearing a sports bra, like they're it's like literally just like a tank top. You don't see very much, but the guys, like, it's just complete bare chest. So we saw a lot of bare chested men around, and they just
Wow.
kept going on with that. Like,
Cool.
more slutty men.
Yes.
I mean,
I
This
want
is-
my men slutty. God fucking damn it.
This is why I want to recommend Baldur's Gate 3, because you can put all kinds of slutty armor on the man, and they, especially Astarion,
Well,
he looks great in a
let's
bikini
talk
armor.
about that.
If my women are slutty, I want my men slutty too. Like, I'm a bisexual. I want to look at the pretty women and the pretty men.
Yeah.
To kind
That's
of
one thing I've got to give to. Sorry,
go on. Like, I'm going to
That's
change
one
over
thing I've got to
entirely.
give to
So.
Cyberpunk is their level of character customization. Is you're picking up clothing options everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what gender you're playing as, you pick up clothing options for everything, and you can wear whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I'm just really sad that they fixed the bug with your cock sticking out of your trousers.
As a Twitch streamer, I'm thankful they fixed that one.
I will offer one criticism towards Cyberpunk, which I think is important to point out. Cyberpunk allows you great customization, right? It's first
Yep.
person,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
which that is
Until you're in the car.
yeah, but fucking yes, that's
Yeah.
yeah. It's like if you're gonna do customization, at least allow me to see what I fucking customize.
I mean, that's another
you know?
reason why a lot of people don't take arm enhancements in the game. Like you can have arm enhancements that make claws come out of your arms, or like a cannon that you can shoot things with.
Yeah,
And people don't take those options because they fuck up your arms, which are the only bits of your model that you see.
Yeah.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
I do hate when games do that. Go on, Bert.
Yeah. I do regret that, and that you can only see yourself either when you're changing the gear or in those shitty mirrors that you find in various
I mean, if
places.
it was a multiplayer game where people were looking at you, fine. But this is just me going, I think I look cool.
Or even just give me the option for a third-person camera.
You look really cool in cutscenes, but that's pretty much long and short of it.
I think there are third-person mods, but you have to mod the game for that.
That's the thing. It shouldn't be a mod if you're doing that.
It shouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always had the opinion, like any game that where like the cosmetics, like Ghostbusters, even to a degree, but then that's a multiplayer game. Is there for vanity and such.
Yeah.
But you still see like quite a lot of yourself.
Quite a lot of your character
Like,
in the cutscenes.
You see your gloves when you're going down the fire. You can just about see your feet sometimes, and you can see, you definitely see like your PKE meter and your particle thrower.
Oh yeah.
Also, you can see your character when you emote, because then it's third person.
Yeah, but then again, also in Ghostbusters, you're messing around with other people as well.
Yeah. So it's not just about looking good amongst everyone else as well. So I get that. So yeah.
You see other people and how they look, especially our new friend Slick.
Now let's talk about just characters in terms of, do you guys prefer having a curated character with a design, or do you prefer having the ability to create your own character?
Character creation has its place.
I love character creation, but I do respect having a curated character that I can just slop my way into the brain of, because I always cite this as like I got so mad when Jedi Fallen Order was announced and Cal as a character was introduced, and I was just like, man, it could have been anything, like, and you gave us this pasty white boy kind of thing. But then you get into Cal's head and you adventure, you see the narrative kind of unspool with him, and it's like, okay, I like Cal, I like the cut of this man's jib kind of thing, and then I enjoy that. I think with a curated character, it has to be a case of, we have a plan for this character, so we want you to role play as him. You just get into his head and pilot him Ratatouille style kind of thing.
And also,
I mean, but if you've just got like, we've got the overview of a story here, but you can be whatever you want. Like I'm always a person who would like to get into I just want to be like a bestial character most of the time. Like if you're like, hey, do you want to be a dragon or a bird person? I'm like, hit me up, bros, kind of thing. It's whenever they're like, would you like to be a human with pointy ears, or a short human? And I'm like, no. I hate that. It's so boring. Please, I want to be something different, sort of thing. But that's a personal doing.
My only thing when it comes to character creators is I have no creativity when it comes to new characters, like their looks. I need to find inspiration, which I rarely do. So I tend to default to me.
Well,
that's fine.
I'm gonna make me in this game and play as me while I go through this game. I did it with Cyberpunk. I've done it with the Fallout games. All that stuff, just like bold, whatever decent, like close to me be it I can find, and slightly on the larger side. That's what I tend to go for.
Yeah, in fairness, Lemming, I think you're probably in the minority. Not
majority.
Minority, sorry, majority. Yeah. Like, I can also understand like really complex character creators. They can be overwhelming, like really, really overwhelming. I know the Dragon Age Inquisition one like hit me like a fucking freight train. I'm like, there's so many options. What the fuck?
I mean, that was me with Code Vein, which I played for a while. It's basically a very anime Dark Souls. You know, you're an anime vampire person in a apocalyptic world fighting Dark Souls styles enemies. But the character creator is so just everything. You can alter everything.
Yeah.
You can have different type of eyes.
Yeah,
You can't just go not just heterochromia, but you can have one demon eye and one normal.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking here going,
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with this.
If the Dark Souls games are anything to go by, you can change the eyebrow ridges, the nose ridge, the chin protrusion, how thick it is, everything.
You can
Yeah.
change the size of the hat.
Yeah, I remember, like, I can't.
And then
It was the latest Sims game. Like, I went into like the Sims creator and bounced off it immediately because it was so complicated. I was just like, it's too much, man. There's
Yeah,
too much to think about.
Yeah, so if it's a big open world game, I'll generally just default to making me. But if it's a story driven game, give me a character that I will play as.
Because I've been creating characters since early days. The original WWE games had a lot of, like PlayStation 1 still had create a character back in them days. Very rudimentary, but it was still there. And of course, as I became more creative in my years, I started making actual designs. And then I started making, like, in most of my games where you'll see you're playing an RPG, I'll very often be playing a female character just because I have that desire to kind of live in vicariously through that in a weird way. Even though I'm very comfortable with my gender, it's the desire to, like, wanting to be, something a bit more, more presentable.
And also, female characters tend to have the best fashion.
And that.
yeah,
Yeah.
With some except
it has been improving in recent video games.
and best hairdos.
with some exceptions as well. Like in Mass Effect, I really don't know why I really gelled towards Male Shepherd. So
Yeah,
it depends from game to game. How do we feel? Like, what do we? Is there anything you look for in, like, a character design that really appeals to you?
It can vary. Like, you know I have a push on for very strong women, taller than me, could throw me through a window. But it's difficult. It's very much on a character by character basis kind of thing. Like, there's always like a template which I'm like, yes, I like this, but then I need to sort of get to know the character a bit more kind of thing. Like, some characters I'm just like, yeah, I kind of vibe to you, and then other characters I'm like, I hate. Please go into a bus and stay there.
That's fair. Anyone else?
this character annoys the fuck out of me.
Yes, I'm getting that way with, like, I also have a bad habit of, if I'm overexposed to a character, I start to dislike them intensely, and I'm getting that way with Astarion right now, and it's just like, it's really bad because a lot of people I know really like him, and I'm just like, I hate this twink. I want this twink obliterated.
I get that. I fully understand.
That's more of a fandom problem than the game itself.
Yeah, that's why I try.
Yeah, true.
I try to like disconnect myself from it. It's just like, this is a me problem, not a other people problem, and it happens with Garrus as well. Like, loads of people love Garrus, but he's so overexposed to me. I'm just like, I'm just like, I'm letting him die. One of these days, he's dying on the suicide mission, and I'm doing it.
Don't you fucking dare! Garrus is good boy.
You can utilize the Astarion as as little as possible and not see him for months at a time.
Yeah, I know that.
Fine.
It's just like, oh, when I get overexposed, I really hate a character. It's the worst though, because I hate that about myself, kind of thing. Because, like, it's not their fault. It's not their fault they're overexposed.
I do understand you though, but it's just you just have to mute the fandom.
Yeah, I shouldn't be like, I shouldn't be projecting my issues onto the character. That's not very nice.
I personally, one thing I have noticed is we've gone very much in the direction of human, real characters. I feel like we've kind of lost, as a gaming, we've lost a lot of our kind of imagination in terms of what else we can play as almost. And I say that because you guys know that I've been playing Sly Cooper a lot on stream. And of course, that's set in an anthropomorphic world, which you don't get a lot of games with that kind of style these days anymore.
Not anymore, no. I mean,
No.
Yooka-Laylee was like the latest one I can think of.
Yeah.
I think there's another one of recent, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
There was a new release of KO the Kangaroo, but that would be about it.
I mean, there was Spyro as well, I guess.
Yeah,
Spyro. Yeah, I mean, definitely that's a remaster.
That was a remake, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, we lost a lot of mascot. We lost a lot of mascot platformers, and I will say, I do have like a little bit of blame for the internet at large for this, because I don't know when it started, but there became a huge backlash against furry characters, and it just winds me the fuck up, because like maybe it was just a thing I felt in WoW, and I will explain. So when I was in World of Warcraft when Cataclysm was coming around, and they were introduced to...
Are you going to talk about Pandaria by any chance?
No, I'm talking about Cataclysm. This was before Pandaria, sir. So there were two new races that were introduced: for the Horde, the Goblins, and for the Alliance, the Worgen. So I'm going to talk about werewolves. So there was a little bit of a problem here, because as soon as you get like wolfy characters, especially anthropomorphized wolfy characters, a lot of people on the WoW forums got their dicks in a twist and went, we don't want furries in here. Like, there's gonna be furry bait. No.
I'm glad I was not taking a sip of my drink at that moment.
Yeah, there were a lot of people like real mad that this would bring in a lot of furries, and and this spilled over into what the female warrior designs were going to be, because a lot of people were, as you like, I think you've seen WoW character designs, race designs, and the sexual dimorphism, especially with the orcs, where it's just like the male orc, big, beefy, roid boy, and then the female orc looks nothing like that.
Like green humanoid,
very, very
green
pretty.
Yeah.
Very pretty
with tits.
Yeah.
Green human with tits and fangs. That's...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And people were thinking this was going to happen to the female Worgen, and there was a party on one side saying, no, she has to be ugly. She has to have 6 tits because she needs to be the most unattractive to furries we could possibly make her. And then there's other people who just wanted fat bait. But so the female Warger design came out, and she was ugly as sin. Like, she was the worst fucking thing in the history of ever. She had a perma smile on her. She looked like a chihuahua who'd gone through like a meat grinder or something.
Let me guess, no one played them.
I think, yeah, nobody played them. I swear I was the only one who played her, and even then, I changed my Worgen at least 3 times because I just could not. I didn't like her. I didn't like her voice. The male Worgen just looked so much better, and it was just. They've only recently been redesigned, and they actually look good, but there's still people fucking complaining about it. And the thing is, like, guys, the furries were already in WoW. There is a cow race called the Tauren. Yeah. Do you really think they weren't already here?
Also,
who do you? Sorry, no.
You first, Bert. I will continue after.
So, who do you think made WoW in the first place?
Yeah,
furry. That's who.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you want to know how ironic it was, I don't remember hearing it when the Ironically, I didn't remember hearing like people talk about furries when the Pandaren were coming in, because apparently Pandaren were already in WoW or something. Fuck, who knows? But when the Drakthir came around in Dragonflight, it started again. I swear to God, like everyone was like, furry bait. Well, no, actually, it started again with the Volpera, who were little fox people. And everyone was just like, furry bait, the furries are coming!
Can I just raise my hand and say, like, to anyone who's like has that opinion for, the furries are coming on, it's furry bait. response is, yeah, who the fuck cares?
Who cares?
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
like,
my question is, have you met one?
Well, not just that, but like,
yeah.
they're people. They want to play games as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, honestly,
Like-
I could probably consider myself a furry because, like, I tend to play anthropomorphized like animals and stuff like
Yes,
that.
like I
I'm an
I know
ex.
how
I'm an
much I-
ex. If I'm an ex furry, if you were to go that far.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I go to a number of conventions, like specifically one convention a year at least, and there are a number of fursuiters or furries that go to these conventions, and they are lovely people.
Yeah,
And
like,
it all stems from the idea of it's a sex thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it
yeah.
always comes
And
back to that.
the thing about furries as well, there's a very high number of queers in furry culture as well.
So it's very easy to kind of put that along with the degradation of society
Yeah.
and all that lark.
Yeah,
know.
like,
And that's where it stemmed from. It's like, oh, furries, it's a sex thing. It's like there is
Yeah.
an aspect of art and NSFW to it, somewhere on the usually on the internet. But when you meet them face to face and they're in their fursuit and at a convention, they are the nicest people.
yeah, they're real chill. I mean, furry artists like are so good, like
Oh,
really.
some of the
really good.
best artists work in that genre.
Yeah, make a lot of money too.
Sorry, I just had to interject with it. You say they're very chill. Have you worn one of those suits?
Oh, I
Yeah,
get what you mean.
There's nothing
yeah.
chill in it. They're
Yeah,
super hot.
because I was introduced to that community years ago, and I thought that I was furry, but it turns out but I'm an ally in that community, and I do
Yeah,
think they get a
100%.
hell of a lot of stick, and they don't deserve a lot of it. And yet, are there people who act out? Certainly, there are. There certainly are.
People
They're-
who
they're-
act out in every community.
There are
Yeah, they
dickheads in all
get
communities.
banned.
There's dickheads in all communities. There's plenty in the gaming community. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
You all
Yeah,
know
so-
who you are.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I partially blame like anti-furry sentiment for getting rid of some of those. Yeah, like it wasn't a complete thing, but I think it didn't help because there was a moment I think where gaming moved into a more edgy kind of thing. It entered its teenage years, and then it was like, yeah, we're gonna be really shit about furries and stuff like that. We don't want to be kids anymore.
Yeah, I do think
Yeah,
that's also a factor. Go on, Burr.
Now, I just feel that a lot of the fact that we don't no longer have any like anthropomorphized animals or other non-human character games is kind of the remainders of the era where everything had to be gritty and realistic
Yes.
and yellowish brown, and we just
everything was stained.
and we just-
Piss filter.
yeah.
You
I
break
completely-
my heart.
this filter.
I completely agree. I think it is a holdover from gaming, just going too far in like we need to grow up and be serious
yeah.
kind of direction.
Yeah.
Whereas we've lost a lot of gaming's lost its ability to be fun, or just like laugh at itself
be-
sometimes.
To be and like, sorry, Burr, you go first.
So we've changed our ways in a few aspects, like the games are now colorful and much more interesting to look at. But we still do not have too many games where we change from who we play. Well, at least in the triple and double A segment. Because in indie games, there's
Indie games-
a lot of everything. Yeah.
It's a wild
This
west.
is what's going to save us. Indie games are going to
Yes.
save us.
Yeah, I also think that AAA games are suffering from a very similar affliction that blockbuster movies are
Mm.
suffering right now, and it's an inability to be sincere. And what I mean by that is a moment is never like an emotional moment is never allowed to just sit and to just be. There's always got to be like this is a particular problem with Marvel movies, but it happens in other movies as well. That a sincere moment is never allowed to sit, never allowed to be. There's always somebody who undercuts it with a joke or just like, oh yes, if this was, it's just like, oh wow, this got all sentimental all of a sudden, didn't it? Like, oh well, bonding moment over, ha 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 ha. It's just like, please just sometimes just allow a moment to be,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And
I mean, go on.
no, I pretty much finished there.
Yeah,
Well,
we need more like in our in our media, in our movies, in our games, in our TV series that allows the moment.
yeah, you don't have to take the piss out of yourself. You're allowed to be confident in who you are, what the emotions you're doing. If people take the piss out of you, they'll take the piss out of
It's
you.
a
You
piss
don't have
anyway,
to
yeah.
do it first. Yeah.
I mean,
It's
you
like-
guys go on,
Go
Lemmy.
on. You first.
I'll say Sly, the series, plays itself very straight down the middle. I mean, it's got comedy in it, but it plays as like, no, this is a world full of animals, and this is how it works. You know, it's not, you know, it is what it is. And yes, they play it for laughs with like, you know, the vultures having to carry the crossbows in their talons, and so they're limping throughout the place. But you know, it's comedic, it's funny, but it's also played completely like straight in that respect as well. And I was looking at my wall just here. I'm looking down here. I'm seeing. I'm gonna go through, and I'm gonna stop when I get to a game which has a character that's not human and realistic. We've got Spider-Man, which that's still a human being. Assassin's Creed, Infamous Second Son, Mortal Kombat, which variety, but Injustice, Batman, more Assassin's Creed. The Little Big Planet. That's probably the first one there. Little Big Planet, you play as a Sackboy person. Far Cry, Kingdom Hearts, licensed
You're
characters.
mostly human in that one.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, at least you're accompanied by a dog and a duck.
You're talking to Duck. Horizon, Soul Calibur, Killzone, God of War, Dad of Boy, Resistance. Literally, the only other thing on there, apart from Little Big Planet, is the Ratchet and Clank series, which has only survived because it started in the era and has managed to maintain its momentum.
But once again, I wanted to point you at the fact that all that you've listed are AAA games.
That is true, and I will point, and I do agree that the thing is that just because it happens to play doesn't mean that they need to break out of that, and that's
They
clear
do.
sign of it.
It's just the thing is they won't, because also sticking to what we know, which is like human based, realistic based game, is the safest bet, and they will never again step away from the way of safest bets.
No, that's true, because if you look at it, whenever you see like a game come up with that kind of character, there is always immediately pushback from certain people in the audience that it's like, oh, look at this as childish stuff. Why are we seeing this for? Even Ratchet and Clank, which does have is not like a childish thing. That's got quite some adult humor. It's got very adult humor in there at times, very subtle adult humor. But
especially the naming.
especially the naming. But yeah, and it's just a shame that we've kind of grown this inability to, and especially when you think that a lot of people say like they tend to attribute to, oh, Nintendo can do it because Nintendo have this idea of being family friendly. Yeah,
Except they don't do it that much either.
they don't do it. They don't. It's just Mario.
Yeah, and some of I gotta say, some of those Mario games get a little bit.
Peach, if anyone, Peach.
The best you can hope for is like rabbits in Mario Bros. Rabbids.
Bruh, like there's certain bits in Partners of Time I would not give that to a small child. Holy shit, no.
Oh no.
I mean, there is one thing that traumatized me, a 40-year-old man.
Which part was that?
The tree.
Oh yeah, the tree. The whole toad forest in that thing. Yeah. It's so bad. Like I would not give that to children because of the way it goes. Like,
Speaking personally, I also really like one character I want to point out as one of my favorite kind of designs is Lara Croft. Character. Lara in the original trilogy, extremely attractive woman with
assets
that are definitely aren't realistic in their size and proportions. Certain features. What I really liked about that is when they did the reboot and they redesigned her, I really liked her design in the reboot, where they clearly were just going for this idea of like, what would a young woman in her 20s be like? And they didn't give her this massive, they made her quite modest in the design. And I actually quite like that, because to me it spoke to me as like, this is trying to be honest to how Sora presents. And I know that it gets overshadowed by some events that happen in the first reboot that were taken completely out of context. But yeah, I do like it when, same with Aloy, I don't like it when they don't sex up something and they just try and play it like this. Like Aloy at any point is never in breast armor, you know.
Yeah, like I have to like the thing that I never get with like post-apocalyptic stuff is like the women
Yeah,
are like perfectly shaved underarms and stuff like that. Like, bruh, I can't be asked to do that, and I'm in like
Yeah,
2023. Like, do you
and you have
really think
means.
women will give a shit about shaving their
Yeah,
underarms in the
yeah.
post-apocalyptic?
Especially that
Come
you have
on.
means and they might not.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so anything else that we want to quickly discuss about designs? Like any favorite designs, or like
I
standards
have
from Lara Croft?
I have one I found earlier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I will pass
We'll we'll,
the links to you as I go.
we'll do
But
Shadow, then we'll go on to Lemming.
yeah, so I'm gonna pass the link. So
Ah.
this guy, like, so I want to talk about Kabu, who is one of the gym leaders from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like, he is an old man. He is an old man who jogs a lot, and he is the fire type gym leader. And I really like his design because, well, obviously you can see. I don't know if Elle's showing this right now, so
I'm working on it.
yeah. So the thing about Kabu is he's the fire type gym leader. He comes from Hoenn, and he's supposedly the first big challenge of the gym challenge. Like, a lot of, like, it's said in lore that a lot of people dropped out when they encounter him because he's really tough, and it's kind of reflected in lore because he has the first, like, fully evolved Pokemon in his roster. Like, all of his Pokemon are fully evolved for the first time, even though he's just got 3. So he can be a bit of a rough ride, but he's easy to beat if you know your types and you're ready to come in for a fight. So he's no guy. He's a veteran, and you see like he's got the coloring of like red, black, white. Now I'm gonna show. Well, I'm gonna show the. I'm gonna make you pay particular attention to the imagery, his logo, which you can see on his shirt, which is mostly covered, and mostly on his shorts, which is a little. I've put a picture of it in the comment on the comments. So you might notice that it looks an interesting little shape. It looks a little bit like a hat. Well, the thing is, Kabu's name comes from Kabuto, which is Japanese for which is a reference to a helmet kind of thing. And the crossed fire is very similar to his ace Pokemon, which is a Centiscorch, and they have the crossed fire that comes from their snout. And the thing is, like, when you look at the symbol, it's both a helmet with the cross on it, which you see on a lot of Japanese helmets as well, samurai helmets. But it is also the face of a Centiscorch of the crossed fire and the top of the head and the fat and the mandibles that come down. And I just really like that about the symbol and him. Like, I love that as part of the character design, and also the fact that the sleeves he's got on, like, are patterned with fire, and it gives an implication that there are burn marks under there, which implies that he's a very intense person. And he is in like, just from this character thing, his arms are crossed. He seems very chill, very severe man kind of thing. But you've got that sense of a fire burning under him. Like, you've got the arm wraps, which you think there might be some burns under there, because why is he covering that up, kind of thing. And then you've got the more muscled legs to show a more intense person. the towel around his neck kind of thing. Like you've got to you've like just from the look of him, like he's an older man, he's stronger, he's it's just like that like this guy is tough, but he's also like an oncoming storm in a way, like like doesn't need to be loud about it kind of thing. And I just like that as a character design.
Cool. I'm going to quickly go along. This is a nice photo I found, which is the evolution of Lara Croft's design all the way from 1 to the Survivor trilogy, as it's referred to, which I think is a nice representation of, if you look, definitely less, and as time went on, there was less focusing on certain areas of the body, which is nice. And to the point where, yes, she looks dirty, she looks grubby, she looks absolutely horrible in the last one because she's been through shit. But also, she looks authentic, I think is the key thing to me.
She looks good.
Yeah.
She looks alright.
Yeah.
They've definitely like made her rack a little bit smaller, but it looks fine. It's still
fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
fine.
Just
I mean, the second to last one looks like more of an ordinary like boobs that I would expect on a woman kind of thing. They're still big. They're big, but they're like, that looks about right kind of thing.
Just like seems legit. Yeah.
Yeah, seems legit.
Also, apparently, our belt buckle technology got better as things got along.
It's just slowly shrinking it. I know that.
Well, back in those days, exaggeration was the key because they had to. You couldn't do realistic, so you had to exaggerate those features.
Yeah.
So you did have to exaggerate the boobs because otherwise.
Also, those boobs are not from the original because they are too spherical.
These are renders. They're not like the original in-game models.
They should be borrowed from those famous Madonna bras that are like little cones.
I gotta say, those first 4 breasts, like I could put a cup on those.
Yeah.
It's a shelf. That's literally just a shelf now.
I could put a head on those.
But
Lemming, do you want to bring us into the next to any character? Like, if you don't have to do examples, but do you have any characters that you're quite a fan of?
Just anything within like relevance of the universe the game is set in, I am a big fan of. So like anything that breaks my suspension of disbelief, I don't like.
Yeah, there's something you said about having a design that makes sense within the world.
Yeah, I mean one example of like overall world character design that I'm very much a fan of these days, Cyberpunk. If you're going around Night City, each area of Night City has its own like aesthetic. So you've got the corpo area where everyone's finely dressed, and they all look right for that area. And then you go to the poorer areas, and you've got guys who are like scraggly hair, loose outfits, and mud, some dirt. I was like, yeah, that makes sense for the area I'm in. There's only one character in that entire game that did like falter my suspension of disbelief, and that's in one of the side quests of the new DLC. You're dealing with a gang known as the Animals. I think it's the Animals, and they're all like hyper buffed up people. Like they are the ones that take all of these steroid enhancements for strength and will punch you in the face, ruling the streets by sheer muscle. And you're dealing with these people, and then who's leading them? Wow, this incredibly attractive supermodel-looking lady with pink hair.
Now that you mention it, that's very weird.
She looks like a YouTuber. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's really strange. It's a very huge difference from the previous. That's a bit of a spoiler, but we fight with the previous leader of the Animals, who was big, buffy, hunky, lady
huge,
with a huge hammer.
Huge, I have her hammer in my collection.
Yeah, a fine addition to my collection.
Yeah,
but you got any kind of designs that you can like?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about one game, one character, and another character that I don't know how much I can talk about because I don't want to spoil anything to anyone. that one character regarding spoilers is Thor from that of Boy Ragnarok.
Oh
I
well,
don't.
I think people have had an opportunity to kind of
I mean,
play the game at this point.
Thor was a major part of the marketing material.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just the design, like physical design, but also like what's done to the character in the game itself.
No, please. I mean, I
Mm.
think people have had enough time to kind of. It's been nearly a year. I think, in fact, it has been a year. Wow, time moves on. Yeah.
Okay, then let me first start with the game. As much as I hate who the developers of that game became and what became of that game, I absolutely love and adore and always will love the character design of Overwatch. Forever, I will love the fact that we have in that game, we have a very like obese character. We have a crippled character that does not have a leg. We have a chubby girl. We have a big hunky woman. We have a typical classical like fab folder character. We have a typical code soldier. We have an old man. We have two old men, one who is very big and one is very small. We have all sorts of we have ladies that are like aged, slightly aged like Moira and heavily aged like Anna. We have all kinds of design and they are all great. And my two favorite ones are Zarya and May, where Zarya is definitely someone who would bench press Shadow all day.
Yeah.
I want her to give me a cuddle.
Yeah, and she
kiss
would
on the
love
hand.
that too. Yeah, and her design is really great, and her personality and her story and everything fits that very, and her gameplay style fits that perfectly.
Look, my
Yeah.
like I just quick sidebar. Like I like big, strong, buff women, but there's one very important thing that needs to be accounted for. They have to be nice. They have to
Yeah,
be good.
so
They have to be nice to me.
yes, I mean Zarya. Unfortunately, I don't think we got a accompanying film about Zarya, which is sad. But it would be great, and she is a kind of good character. She's one of the good guys.
She looks like a nice person.
Yeah. However, who we did get the film about and whose character is very well fleshed out, and he was my favorite character in design because in playing against her, she's an antichrist, and I will always refer to her as the antichrist. Is May. She's she's the young Chinese chubby girl.
That Jessie cosplayed.
Yes, Jesse cosplayed her with the powers of cold, with a cold gun that freezes.
Yeah, the one that's just like, oh, I've hit you for long enough that you're now frozen solid, and I headshot you with my secondary attack.
Yeah,
bye.
And the creepiest thing is that she smiles when he headshots you and you're frozen. So she's this very shy girl that constantly says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
sorry,"
and So she's wearing those fur coats, so we don't even see that she's just very like cuddle sized. We can see that in the movie that was made for her when she walks around the Antarctic station in a pajama, and that movie also really fleshes out her character, and she is an awesome. She's an awesome person, and I think she is my favoriteest character in the game.
I just want Farah to lift me up into Princess Carrie and rocket me through the sky.
Yeah, the second character I wanted to talk about is Thor in God of War Ragnarok, where people have been throwing all kinds of shit because Thor was shown as this very big, very fat, very tall, very untypically not muscular, not with like the dehydration abs character, a far cry from Chris Hemsworth.
These kind of people only ever see the Marvel movies, never read actual Norse mythology.
Yes, and people were throwing all kinds of shit around, which is great because we could recognize who is an asshole and block them. But yeah, Thor's design, Thor's visual design is really great. Really fits the Norse character with like the tattoos, with the big bushy beard, with the fact that he was huge and he liked indulging. But what I really regret is the fact that he was done at this service, and I feel like this was this might have been purposefully done, that he did not look typically attractive and conventionally attractive, because or he is a tragic character because not attractive. But they've all the time they were showing him as a drunkard, as weak-willed, as continuously controlled and manipulated and bullied by his father, and completely losing the grip on his in his own life, not being able to, like, spiraling down all the time. And I really felt like, why do you do this to this poor man? I really yeah, it was also a very different from what's been shown of Thor in the first game. We know only from Mimir's stories who Thor was, and we have imagined him like this bloodthirsty evil war machine, whereas he's just being made a sort of bodyguard and hitman by his father, who was the mastermind behind that. Whereas Thor is actually a really good person, but a person who's been constantly beaten down to be the bad guy by Odin. And it's absolutely heartbreaking, this whole story, this whole spiraling down. And many tears were shed by the end of the game, where Thor is actually redeeming himself and showing the actual good guy nature, the father of a family, the loving husband, loving father, and someone who wants to protect his the people dear to him. So I'm glad that by the end he was redeemed but I just keep thinking that someone must have been making this this connection, that his outside appearance must be connected to the misery that he's been thrown through in the game.
I disagree. I think Thor looks as he is because he's Thor, but at the same time, I think the fact that he is at rock bottom is more
and damaged
damaged. It's more portrayed in his hair than it is in his actual body, because he's a big stocky fellow, but it's not shown as like a negative or anything. But we see that his hair is dirty, it's matted, it's all over his face, his beard is untidy.
And we definitely hear that in his voice.
Yeah. They're the facets of his character design that scream, I am at rock bottom. I don't know what I'm doing myself. I'm drinking myself into oblivion, kind of thing.
Yeah,
not
his facial features
stature.
His facial features are that of a man who has been through some shit.
Yeah.
And also, he's really done.
Yeah, because also, his body he's a rotund man, but if you look at him, if you've seen like proper strong men and stuff like that, that's not entirely fat. That's a lot of fucking muscle right there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he's a strong ass man.
Whoever was looking at this art piece and thinking, that's not Thor, it's not Chris Hemsworth with chiseled abs. It's like, motherfucker, have you seen any of the strongmen competitions? Any of them? Look up Eddie Hall. One of the strongest men in the world.
Interpretation is always key for when it comes to especially characters that have legacy.
Also, look up the guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, Half-Thor.
Half-Thor, yes.
Now, I will say there's a great lesson in this. Have you heard about what the Lucasfilm technicians said about Admiral Akbar?
I
Yeah,
think so, but remind us.
So basically, they wanted to change the design for Akbar, and the director Richard Marquardt insisted on it because Marquardt said it's important to show people that good people aren't necessarily good-looking people. They can be, very not conventionally attractive, very
they come from
ugly.
everywhere.
They come from everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's why he very much insisted on keeping Akbar. And of course, Akbar, beloved character as we now know him. So yeah, I think it's also important to show is that good people aren't necessarily beautiful people aren't necessarily good people,
Yeah,
and also good people aren't beautiful people aren't necessarily bad people either,
Yeah.
because that's also important to show.
Yeah, one thing I would love to see in character designs is more like heavily facially scarred
Scarring.
people that are good people, because a lot of the time when a character is facially scarred, like, and very brutally so, they're also evil or bad. Like, it's almost like the representation of the facial ugliness is a representation of evil. And I don't, like, I can understand why ugliness is like a shorthand for evil, because it's a child's way of understanding something. But I think, but the problem is people exist with heavy facial scarring, and doing that, you're immediately making them out to be, bad people.
Mm.
My economics teacher, when I was in high school, he was in a car accident, and he was not heavily facial scarred, but the way his scar was, I can just about remember it. But basically it was around his cheeks and face, and it looked pinched in. So he looked like he had a permanent, like, scowl on his face. Like, he always looked really cross. Not at all. Like, guy was really nice. If you respected him, he respected you. But it was always something like you saw him, and it was always quite a very arresting thing to see, like, oh shit, kind of thing. But you got to know him. He was a completely nice guy. But of course, everybody's eyes drift to the scar because
Mm.
it's there. And I just want to see more characters
You're
who are heavily
absolutely right.
facial scarred
Yeah, I mean,
and
an
ugly, and,
example.
and technically ugly with it, and
Mm.
just be nice people.
I mean, one
Speaking
good
of character,
example.
no, go ahead.
One good example of a facial scar in fiction that actually started off as being, facial scar is an evil character, and then subverted expectations. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Its main
Zuko,
villain
yes.
for the first 2 seasons is Zuko, and then he flips, and all of a sudden, this character who you think, he's evil, he's never good. Suddenly, he's a good guy. It's like,
It's part. It's a trope.
Yeah.
And yeah,
didn't expect that.
it's very important because funny enough, Shadow, I had a very similar experience where in school, in my 4th year at school, my middle school as it was, we had my teacher in the class was Mr. Thomas, really nice guy. He had an accident when he was in his younger years that had left pretty much half his face covered in a burn. When I mean that, I mean like red, like it is a red, like scarred everything. And when you look at him, you think that, wow, that's a big scar. But no, he is the nicest person you would ever meet. And he just said, and the thing is, I think it's because part of the time is because people think, oh, a scar, make it is showing someone who's dangerous. Because by profession, if you're in a dangerous situation, you're gonna be resolved with that. When it's like, oh yeah, I had an accident with while cooking, it's like,
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, if you think about us, like, you, El, you have a scar to your eyebrow
I
caused
do.
by a childhood injury. I have a scar, like, it's hard to see with me, but I've got a scar to the top of my head because when I was a small child, I wanted to join my parents who were sitting on a wall. I tried to climb up, I fell down and hit my head on a rock. Like scars just, like, my
Happen.
my ex-boyfriend had a scar under his eye, and that was just running into a bin.
People get scarred. I'm missing a
Yeah.
tooth, and that's not because of, and that's not even because of an accident. That's genetic, So these things happen, with
Yeah,
people.
I have a pattern of scars on my arm just caused by eczema. I have a huge I have a big surgical scar there. Like, people scar up for all kinds of reasons,
Oh
and
yeah.
like when people think I also need to say, like, when people think facial scar, they always imagine the one over the eye kind of thing.
Always.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not talking about the one over the eye or the little scratches on the cheeks, like thing. I'm talking about big burn scars
Yeah.
that warp and turn the skin like different colors. The scars that take the lip and expose the teeth and the gums, sort of thing. I'm talking like proper damage. I want to see kind of thing, and people will be like, "Oh, but that's ugly and really creepy." And it's just like that's exactly
That's the
why
point.
you need
That's
to
the
look
point.
at it.
I think that's the thing is you'll very rarely see a main character like that. That's why it's important to have in RPGs characters in your party like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's more a case of just letting people see them and sort of be like, oh, this is just a normal person who does normal things. They just look a bit weird, kind of thing. It's okay for the character to even say, yeah, you're looking at my scar, aren't you? Because people do.
People
Yeah.
do. You can't help it. It's just what people do.
There's a simple method you can take, in my opinion, when it comes to like characters interacting with the player, and that those characters have scars, and that is okay. Where was I even going with this? I had an idea for the last 5 minutes. Like, poof! It was like every scar can have a story to tell.
Yes.
So if you have a character that's interacting with your player or your party, and your first instinct might be, oh, this person's probably going to turn evil. Like, why? Give us a good story to go with it.
Yeah.
Make us understand this person.
I was
This is
watching.
why it's sorry.
Go on, Bear. No, go on.
You'll have to help me because I might mistake it, but this is why it's worth to like turn our experience into battle scars when you're like healed from a critical injury.
Good callback. I was going to mention RPGs as well because I was watching Critical Role, and they were talking about how Grog has scars, and he was talking about how Grog was sat down like with a bunch of these like kind of hardened dwarven fighters, and how he got to about scar, and suddenly like they're all showing like scars, like, oh, I got this one when I was and, playing it for laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Wasn't-
stuff like that.
Wasn't something like that also shown in the Dungeons and Dragons movie? Am I mistaken?
I don't think
Am I
it was in the
mistaking
movie.
it for some other movie?
I think you might be mixing it up with something else, kind of thing.
No, okay, never
But no.
mind then.
One character I want to quickly mention which is less about his looks and more about how he acts. Is I have a very soft spot for Agent 47.
Oh yes, I really. This guy is just such a character design, like gold mine. I fucking love it.
Because he is designed to be basically blend in the environment. Just a bald guy, no distinguishing features, just the barcode on his back. And the idea is that whenever there's like an important character that you can disguise yourself, like Helmut Kruger or someone else, they're always a bald guy or have like a toupee or something so that he can perfectly imitate them. And I love it. I absolutely adore it. And that combined with his very dry sense of humor and is just something which I really enjoy.
One-liners is just amazing.
Oh, his delivery of one-liners is just mwah, in my opinion.
Although I love the meta joke of the game that literally every time 47 puts someone's clothing like a disguise on himself, everyone is absolutely accepts like, yeah, this is normal. This guy absolutely blends in.
Well, that's more about world building, but which I actually had talked with Shadow about the other day. But yeah, I do love that. I do it because it's such a it's such a basic design, especially this guy in a suit with just bald, sharp features, not really having anything interesting in his design with the part of the barcode, and but he's such an iconic design.
Yeah, I remember that article that I found and I sent to you, El, which talks about his 47's fashion choices, about the fact that he wears a black suit. Like it's like and the article describes that it's quite a rare thing to have a black suit because it's either a business deal or you're going to the morgue. Yeah, and I like that because it's also kind of nondescript in a way, because you see a lot, like if you go onto any like public transport, like especially like the London Underground, that
You're
like
gonna see people in suits all the time.
yeah, because people are commuting backwards and forwards all the time. Like you blend in. It's both a blend in and it's also an implication of the morgue. And he's got the red tie as well, like the implication of danger and blood. And just
You're forgetting that it's both, because going to the morgue, but also it's business because he's doing his business.
exactly. That's why it's so good at a character design thing. He's both like really, really like nondescript, but at the same time his clothes are saying everything about him. I just I love that. When I really love it when I could get like you could look into a character and just be like, there's so much here.
Even when there's on the surface, there's probably not a lot.
Yeah, that's why I really love Star Wars. Okay, because like as a world, it's very like 1980s. Like its tech is all very 1980s, but it's also futuristic, and and it's so lived in. That's what I really love about the thing, because like a lot of like sci-fi tends to be like sleek and slick and beautiful, or it's like really like broken and shit sort of thing. Very like you've either got Star Trek on one end, or you've got Warhammer 40k on the other. But 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 Star Wars sits in the middle of like there's some shiny bits and there's some not so shiny bits, but it feels lived in as a whole ass thing. I love it. I love it as a world.
Yeah, I mean, well, to defend Star Trek a bit, we see it's like shiny and sort of spit polished because we do see military sort of fleet vehicles. They have to be spit polished because the rules say so.
Also, shout out to Star Trek: The Next Generation for having the scant, which is basically a skirt that both genders wore in season 1.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, but also I wanted to talk about my last character.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about. He covers all the bases because he has a facial scar, and he has pretty iconic clothes.
Oh, who's that?
And he's really, really interesting, really cool. It's Gal the Warrior Cook.
Hey!
A great example of which, funny enough, that's a great thing to bring up. Because you are completely right, Shadow, with the fact that showing a scarred character who is just scarred and that's it. There's no there's no nefarious implication behind it or anything.
Yeah, it's just like I have a scar of my eye. My eye no longer works, kind of thing. Like,
there's a scarred character that I quite like out there, actually. His name is King.
As in, like, from Tekken?
No.
Oh.
King from One Punch Man.
Oh, okay.
He is the rank 5 S rank hero at the hero agency. So he's one of the top heroes in the business. Everyone is terrified of this guy. And he's got 3 scars across his left eye. So everyone's terrified of him. He's taken down every enemy he's ever seen. And whenever action is popping up, he's everyone can hear his heartbeat. It's like intense. But it's quickly realized to the viewer, not to anybody else, but to the viewer, that he's an absolute fraud. The only reason he's at the number 5 S rank is because every time a big enemy pops in front of him, something else kills it and he gets the credit.
So he's One Punch Man Universe's Hercules Satan.
Basically.
Isn't there a guy in Warhammer 40k of which exact same thing fucking happens?
Kind of. You've got Caiaphas Cain, who is an amazingly written character.
Doesn't he? And then
he keeps trying to run away, but every time he runs away, he ends up
saving the
doing
world.
something, running into something worse, and somehow saving the day that way.
I love it.
The thing is, a lot of the Caiaphas Cain novels, I'm going to go on for like 2 minutes here, but a lot of the Caiaphas Cain novels, all of them, are written as his memoirs. So after he's retired, after he's done, he's writing these memoirs, and these are his stories of his tales. So it's all done from the first person. I did this, I was here, I did that. And he's always very self-depreciative in all of his writing, because he's the one going, I'm an abject coward, I wanted to get the fuck away from there as quickly as possible, all that stuff. But there's little editorials, because these memoirs are being noted after his death by a member of the Inquisition to make sure that any other inquisitors that read this stuff understand the true context. And it's an inquisitor he was intimate with, as in they had a long-term relationship.
Oh, dang.
Writing the little notes, and the notes are along the lines of, he downplays himself here, but he was one of the best duelists I ever met.
Dang.
I love it.
He was a legitimately good fighter. He just was an abject, self-confessed abject coward about it.
It kind of feels, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Warhammer 40k's Rincewind?
Basically, yeah. He had skill in survival, and that's what mattered. At one point, he dueled a Chaos Space Marine Berserker to a standstill.
Holy shit!
He's a normal human.
Right.
So yeah, Kyphus Kane is an amazingly written character, much like King is. I've just posted his picture for you guys to look at. But yeah, King, amazingly well done, scarred character who is scarred because a cat scratched him once.
Valid.
It's just, that happens.
Understandable.
But everyone freaks out because it's King. Holy shit, we've heard what he's like. He's going to rev up his engine and everything's going to be destroyed. Just a lot of fun.
Because we kind of interrupted going on about Garl. I guess so you want to kind of take it back and
the scar that Garl has, which is not just the appearance on him, but the actual he loses an eye, and it gets used to his look kind of, because you can see that there's something wrong with it, but the content of his character, he's constantly positive. He's the volcano of positivity. Everything can be done. Everyone can be a good champ. Everyone can be reasoned with. Everything can be overcome. He's just a good boy. Yeah. And his look is also iconic, like running around in a vest with a huge backpack, like Samwise Gamgee level backpack.
Yeah, he's also
the size of himself.
He's tubby as well. He's like he's years over weight. He's got he's got some great hair on him. I will say that, in my opinion.
I wish I had that.
It's great. And what I love is that they play into when they introduce the character, they play into this idea of they're gonna do for you wronged me and then abandoned me for years. I'm gonna come back and the villain. No, he shows up and is just as chipper as ever.
It's like, you think you weren't leaving me behind?
Yeah, I honestly exactly felt that he's gonna have some sort of grudge, but no, he's absolutely constantly all the time super positive. And he's very beloved because of that.
Yeah, I also love he's the perfect narrative foil for Valer and Zale. Yeah, in Sea of Stars, because they both have powers, kind of thing. They're for a higher, this is spoilers, I think. They're for a higher purpose, kind of thing. And Garl's just an ordinary kid, kind of thing.
He's just along for the ride.
Yeah, but I love that about him because he is so down to earth. He grounds them, kind of thing. He's the one who comes in as I'm going to be cooking for you because you guys are just going to eat shit off the floor if I don't.
Yeah,
we love Garl.
We love Garl.
Garl is best boy.
But no, that's just everything else I think people want to bring up. I think that kind of wraps up our thoughts on characters and design. Generally, I'm happy as long as the character design makes sense. I'm more than happy with anything. I don't have this problem of playing as a different if someone I can understand someone has a problem with playing they feel difficult to kind of associate with different gender if they're not being weird about it. If it's I just don't feel with it. But at the same time, I'm for me, a character is something to embody, whether they're something you can make your own or whether they're a character you can slip into like a pair of shoes. I honestly do not mind. But as long as you're not being a dick about it, like what you like.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
if somebody if somebody laid the cards in front of me on the table and say you can create a female character or a male character or something else, I would always choose the female character because that's where my comfort is. But like if somebody said you have to play a male character in order to experience this game, I'm like, okay, kind of shit, but
Yeah.
like it's not the end of the world kind of
I-
thing. Like the only time I've ever sort of played male characters, like when I've been given the choice, is role playing games, and I've made about 50,000 alts, which have like little tiny itty bitty backstories that I will never get to.
I usually create female characters because hell, I've been playing a male character for 40 years. I want to know something else.
I mean, that's why I choose a race other than human, because like I am a human. I know what we do, kind of thing. I want to be a dragon.
Well, I think it kind of wraps up for tonight. I want to thank all of you for joining us here at the Commandant's Podcast, where we'll be discussing characters and our favorite designs and what we like about them and dislike about them and all things in between. And yeah, my recommendation for all of you out there is to go find like a character design that you're not necessarily fond of, and try and find something that you can find some positive aspects in, and even try a game. Like, it's just a demo. Give a game a try and see what it is. I mean, we've played all kind of games. You can play as even the little characters on signs these days. So yes, do play that, or even just a man who's got a cup for a head. All kinds of characters.
You could literally play as a hole in the ground.
Or as a cartoon wolf stealing sheep. It depends on your genre. But whatever you want to...
Or two hip-hop aliens traveling to Earth and back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or a wizard with a gun.
Or a wizard with a gun.
If I can make a recommendation, you can also play as a bunch of rectangles.
A bunch of rectangles.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Was Alone, a wonderful game.
Yeah.
And
Never
or
played that.
Or a kitty cat.
Yes, or a kitty cat.
Or a cat.
Or a slug kitty cat.
Or a very highly strung lawyer. With that, we're going to call it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us here.
We're fine.
We're fine. I've been Eback, and I've been joined by Burr, Lemming, and of course Shadow. And of course, my name's been Eback, and I think there's only one appropriate way for me to say goodbye, which is we're all villains here. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.